and then we'll get underway with what I hope to be an excellent 3 hours of talk radio on this Monday, August 14th, 2023. It's episode 398, and we appreciate you for being here. Whatever amount of time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of that. I always enjoy your interactions on the super text line or on the phone lines. I think I'm more phone sensitive and phone savvy than any other host in talk radio. 615-737-9986. Anytime you want to opine, you're invited to do so over the subject matters of my choosing, and there are a lot to choose from. Obviously, we're all watching Hawaii, a story that we covered for you comprehensively last week, and it's just getting worse as Hawaii is on fire, and a lot of people have died as a result. Almost 100 now have died as a result, and I have a comment on it, although the President of the United States has chosen to stay out of it for whatever reason. Now we are being told that the White House will be commenting on this a little bit later on this afternoon during their normal press availability, and, you know, as time allows, we might join that. Do you have that ability in there? By the way, Bell K's behind the glass. Well, then we need to get the ability.
Why would I have that ability?
Well, then we need to get the ability. If I need a press conference, I need a press conference, and I don't understand why we don't have the ability to join a press conference live on the radio. And I'm not trying to complain.
It's a good question, though. I think it's valid.
I do think it's a valid question, and maybe it's one that we can get answered. Although we'll make do one way or the other as we can during our 3 hours together before we hand off to the drive with Brian Wilson. Once again, I'm not complaining. I'm a little bit flabbergasted. The media continues to ignore the Biden relationship with military families, and it's an underreported story that I want to talk about on the show at some point today. At some point today, actually, I know the point today, at 1:30, we will speak to a group of individuals that are hosting a Williamson County Battle of the Badges event. It's one of these events that I was a part of last year, and I think that was the Davidson County event. But this is a blood drive, and it's a challenge to you, especially in Williamson County, but those of you beyond Williamson County, that you get out and you give as you can. It's one of those things that we beg of you from time to time to do for your community, and we'll talk about it when the time comes, and that's at about 1:35 this afternoon. It's a big week. We've got a lot going on this week in the city of Nashville, in the state of Tennessee, obviously leading up to the special session of the General Assembly. We will speak with House Majority Leader William Lamberth. We are scheduled at some point down the road, and hopefully before the session begins, to talk to the governor of the state of Governor of state of Tennessee, Bill Lee. He will be we haven't gotten it nailed down yet, but I think to get his thoughts on why he felt compelled to call a General Assembly special session is important, so we're working out the details on that. We have Alice Rowley, who's running for Nashville mayor, coming up on Wednesday. I've got a call out to Freddie O'Connell as well, because I'm not against having people that I disagree with on the show to throw that around and see what happens. So that's upcoming as well. None of it getting in the way of our relationship and our telephone calls, 615-737-9986, or your super texts. You can do it either way, and we love that that communication. So hope everyone had a great weekend. I had a fabulous, relaxing weekend, and I hope you did as well. I got a chance to hang out with one of my favorite people over the weekend. No, not Bell K. He's not one of my favorite people.
Oh, that's true.
Johnny B. Had got to break bread with Johnny B. and his lovely wife, Glenna, which was just what. And I got a chance to see College Grove. I'd never been to College Grove. If you blink, you miss it. And Eagleville. And Johnny was telling me that Trace Adkins lives in Eagleville. And I said, well, let's go over. And he said, no, we're not going over. And I said, no, seriously, I know you know where he lives. Let's just pull on into his driveway and see what happens. Actually, this conversation didn't happen, but I wanted to say that when he told me that Trace Adkins lived in Eagleville.
Yeah, that would have been him protecting you from Trace, because I don't think Trace would take kindly to being spooked.
I don't think Trace would take kindly to, folks coming over unannounced.
Yeah.
But I think Trace and I would get along famously. I would love to, just slide on into Trace's place and settle into the back, maybe have a cigar, some brown water on the back deck.
That sounds more like a Toby Keith kind of vibe versus a Trace Atkins kind of vibe.
I don't know, but I wanted to go. Johnny B didn't offer, but it was a lot of fun getting together with him over the weekend. And yeah, the wife saw the Barbie movie. I mentioned this in the final portion of the Chris Hand show. Yes, she saw the Barbie movie. Now she's a a transgendered communist. Actually, no, she said it wasn't all that. It's not a kids movie, but it's a PG-13 film anyway. It's not really supposed to be a kids movie. It is a more of a teenager / adult themed film about a kid's toy, which I don't think this is the first time that's happened. I mean, I don't know. I don't know because I don't have kids, so I don't follow all of that stuff. But she said it was all right. Wasn't that bad. And some of the suggestions of all of this wokeism, she said, you kind of see it from time to time, but it wasn't that bad. So I don't know that she gave it a grade.
60, 70-year-old brand at this point.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty old. 1954 or something like that.
Huge demo of women out there that would be interested in Barbie.
No, and if I had kids of a certain age, I'm not knocking Hand's take on it. Although we might disagree on a little bit of that, but if you have kids of a certain age, it's frustrating, I imagine, to parents because you recognize that it's not for young kids, but your young kids play with Barbie, so what do they want to do? They want to go see the Barbie movie.
They want to go see Barbie because they think it's the same thing. It's
right.
Part of the...
Right, and you have to be the bad guy and say, no, you can't go to see the Barbie movie. Why can't I go see the Barbie movie? Because you can't go see the Barbie movie. It's not for you. Well, it is for me. It's Barbie, and I get all of that too. But anyway, we'd love for you to check out the Super Talk while I finish up these pleasantries. We'd love for you to check out the Super Talk television side of things. Yes, the whiteboard's back after we missed it for a week or so. So you can check that out over on Super Talk TV. That's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Join us there and join in on the conversation on the F&M Bank chat line that is available to you. Speaking of joining in on the conversation, if you have not yet, please get your tickets at 997WTN.com for the big event tomorrow night at the J Street Korean Grill and Bar, Hendersonville. What a gorgeous place. If you've not seen the video that Chris Hand did on this place, man, oh man, it is beautiful. Can't wait to get out there. Tomorrow evening starts at around 6 o'clock, although Brian Wilson will start his broadcast at 3, and we'll meander in sometime after that. You're invited. All you have to do is go over to 997WTN.com, and if you put in the promo code Chris, you get $15 off. And if you buy today, I have it on good authority that Dan Mandis is buying you a round of drinks. So there you go. I think I heard that correctly. I'm not sure. I'll have to fact check myself on it. We'll see. One way or the other, we'd love to see you tomorrow night in all seriousness. Come on out and see us. And by the way, you can check out the video on our socials. And the event is brought to you by a couple of wonderful sponsors, the Dr. Pa Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solutions Center, as well as Oil Fire Whiskey. Nothing woke about that. Just great whiskey with great smooth taste and no burn. And I think they have samples that they will be bringing around of Oil Fire Whiskey, and I have sampled Oil Fire Whiskey, and it is. Did you taste that I gave you?
I have not. Not
it's
yet.
It's sweet. There's a sweet back thing going on there, so it's good. I've never tasted anything like it.
Oh, so you nothing to compare it to?
So there are some flavored whiskeys out there that I would say are similar, but nothing that I've tasted like Oil Fire.
It's like Southern Comfort has a little bit of a sweet vibe to it. Are you kind of talking about that kind of thing, or that's such a unique flavor. It's like that, but different. Okay,
and I know that's not very specific, but it's true. So you can sample it yourself. If my description has left you wanting more, and I'm sure it has, sample it yourself at Oil Fire Whiskey, or come on out to the event, and I think they'll have some sampled. So, Mount Juliet, I want to start here because I know that it's not a story on the front pages of most websites or quote-unquote newspapers, but it was close to me and hit close to home, and it reminds us all, occasionally on Friday, I try to do this every Friday when we're all ready and celebrating the weekend, we try to remind ourselves of those individuals that make the country go and make our weekends what they are. Talking about weekend warriors, people that have to put on the uniform or put on their boots and get up and go to work on the weekends, so our weekends are so nice. I just do it on Fridays because it seems a good time to do it. We ought to do it every day of the week, that we honor police officers, EMTs, firefighters, doctors, nurses, and all of those other first responder types that truly get into the fray, get on the front lines, and literally save lives as a result. We're thinking about a lot of the firefighters that are out in Hawaii right now, battling those blazes, and we'll talk about that in more depth coming up in the next segment. A Mount Juliet firefighter has been critically injured while battling an apartment fire on Old Pleasant Grove Road Saturday afternoon. This is just off the interstate and like less than a mile from where I live. No fatalities and no other injuries were reported as a result of the blaze that happened Saturday. City officials say that they believe that it was caused by lightning to the roof. Mount Juliet Mayor James Maness urged the community to pray for the injured firefighter, who, at least at the time of the article that I'm reading, was not named. Now, this article is a little bit dated. I did not update it. It was dated from 2 days ago. It was late Saturday afternoon, so the firefighter might have been named by now, and if so, I'll find it. The department clarified the building, it was building 400 that was set on fire. Building 500 was evacuated as a precaution. At 12:33 Saturday afternoon, the Mount Juliet Police Department tweeted, "Residents at Glass Creek Apartments, your apartment building is on fire. Evacuate now." Residents, obviously, you might have seen this over the course of the weekend on a variety of news channels, as it was, I don't know if it's technically classified as a 5-alarm fire, but it was engulfed. It was a fully engulfed facility there at those apartments, and a firefighter in response to the blaze. One of the things that I heard that just broke my heart, and I don't know what I would do. I don't have any kids. And so when you don't have any kids and you're a person of a certain age and you have animals, your animals become your kids. We know that they're not really our kids, but they become our kids. And I have 3 dogs. And I heard the story over the weekend of an apartment resident who had been evacuated from the building, and their dog, they rescued a number of animals. And I don't know if any animals were lost in the blaze. I've not heard that specifically. I pray God they didn't. But
unfortunately, it probably did happen.
Yeah, I imagine it did.
People that have passed away.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Hawaii. I'm talking about Mount Juliet. And there were no fatalities in Mount. Yeah, no, that's okay. There's no fatalities in Mount Juliet. And one firefighter critical. But I heard the story Saturday night about one of the apartment residents who had a dog in their apartment, and they were trying to go back, and the firefighters wouldn't let them. And I don't know what I would do. It ripped my guts thinking about that person. And I would want to try to go back in. I would physically try to go back in. And I know that it's the job of the firefighters at that point to physically restrain people, because you've heard stories in the past about individuals that want to go back in and get their cat or get their dog or whatever, and the authorities have to stop them from doing so. And they would have to stop me too. It just, man, oh man, it just
any good
just
pet
hurts your
owner
heart.
looks at their pets as a full-blown responsibility, and one that they take very seriously. And part of that would be trying to save them from a life-threatening situation.
Well, and it's at that stage, it's the firefighter or the EMT or the police officer's job to stop them from doing that, like they would stop them from rushing in to try to save a family member, honestly, because it is their job to try to do that, and they don't want to lose another life as a result of it. But yeah, I mean, it's just a bad scene over there, started by lightning. One of our good friends, who I think will be on the show with us at 12:45, might have something or another to say about that. We've got Aaron Goldbranson calling in briefly to remind you of an event that's happening in Williamson County if you're unable to attend our event in Hendersonville. and that's a very important one. And there's a lot of protest going on surrounding that monthly event. We'll tell you about that a little more later on. And we'll talk about the fire in Hawaii, and that's coming up next. It's 12:20. Good afternoon. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Every day we hear about another brand selling out their customers and going woke. You know, these big companies that are fearful of the minute minority in this country, and they ignore the majority in flyover country. Well, let's stop all of that. Let's send a message that we are the majority and that we do matter and that we do have values, and our values matter as well. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, which is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, not only is it incredibly easy to do so, not only do you get the same great coverage you become accustomed to, not only do you pay the same low prices that you become accustomed to, not only is it 100% U.S.-based in their customer service team, they make switching so easy, but also you're sending a message to, hey, how about stay out of the politics and stay out of all of this cultural war and just provide us good cell coverage. And that is what Patriot Mobile does, although they do believe in the things that you believe in, like free speech, the sanctity of life, the Second Amendment, and other items. So I encourage you to see how easy the switching can be by going and calling 878-PATRIOT. That's 878-PATRIOT. Use the offer code Murphy, 878-PATRIOT. Free activation with that offer code. You can also go online at patriotmobile.com/Murphy. That's patriotmobile.com/Murphy for more information about the one and only Patriot Mobile. The same great service, the same great coverage, and none of the woke politics. It's Patriot Mobile. Safe House is your one and only stop for all things safes in this community, really in the state, and I would suggest the Southeast. Mark at the Safe House has a brand new, yet another shipment of Browning and Liberty safes. You know, he gets them in almost weekly, and or if not weekly. And they have about 600 or so safes in stock for you, both in the showroom and in their warehouse. If you've not noticed, prices are going up just about everywhere, but because of their inventory pricing, Mark still has great prices on Brownings, on Liberties, on Fort Knox, and much, much more. And I want you to go see the incredible savings that are available to you. Plus, he charges you for delivery, and you're thinking, well, why are you saying that, Murphy? Because everybody charges you for delivery, especially when it comes to an item as large as a safe. Mark is just honest and upfront about it. He'll tell you what the safe cost. He'll tell you what the delivery cost, and then there you go. That's all you need. Now, some guys claim that their delivery is free, and who's delivering that safe? Well, with Mark, it is a crackerjack team, not a crackhead team, that is delivering your safe. Go to NashvilleSafehouse.com to find out more and to look at some of the incredible safes of all shapes and sizes. Plus, it's not just gun safes. They have jewelry safes and corporate safes as well. NashvilleSafehouse.com is the website, NashvilleSafehouse.com, or stop by 4th Avenue South in Nashville. It's Nashville Safe House. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Show in progress on this Monday. Hello, almost the middle of the month. Hey, we're a week out from Belle Kay's birthday, everybody, and we're going to knock it out of the park next week.
Ugh.
You going to be here?
On my birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm going to pretend like it's any other day.
Well, I mean, we're not going to delve into exactly what number we're talking about here, but
I can't count that high anymore.
But we shall celebrate it, no question. Also, next Monday is the first day of the special session of the Tennessee General Assembly. So we'll talk about that in the upcoming week. So Joe Biden had a no comment earlier this weekend. I understand in the world of politics, sometimes you have a certain group piling on another group because of politics, or another group piling on this group because of politics. And now you have mainstream media outlets that at one time you would have suggested should be neutral in all of this, and they've decided not to be neutral. I'm talking about the hashtag #NeverCNNs of the world. Well, Joe Biden decided that his extended vacation on the beach wasn't quite enough. So over the weekend, he decided to go yet again to a Delaware beach where he hung out for a number of hours. And I can't pronounce the beach. I've heard it pronounced 100 times. Is it Rehoboth? Rehoboth? I think that's
We'll
right.
go with that.
Whatever. It's a Delaware beach. Bloomberg had a pool reporter on site, a man by the name of Justin Sink. He posted to the X site, after a couple of hours on the beach, POTUS was asked about the rising death toll in Hawaii. No comment, he said before heading home. Now, obviously, there are plenty of people that have pulled out the long knives, as they say, about this type of thing. Even when you know that it is something particularly bad, when people like MSNBC, they had a weekend host that frequently defends the White House, this Hassan person who said Biden's reported response would, quote, hurt him, and called it an unforced error. Well, what it was absolutely tone deaf and terrible. It would seem that the president of the United States could manage to string two sentences together to say something about the worst wildfire disaster in Hawaii's history and the worst wildfire disaster in terms of death toll in the last century on this earth. I mean, hell, Joe, all you've got to do is politicize it and start talking about climate change. Not that that wouldn't be heartless, but, you know, I know how you are. Never let a crisis go to waste, right? The sad reality is this, friends. Joe Biden cannot string two sentences together unless he's told what to say without fear of looking like what he is, a dementia-addled old man. There is 0.001% chance that this guy makes it to the 2024 election. And I know I've been saying it for 6 months, and I think it's become fairly conventional wisdom that there's zero chance that Joe Biden can make it. You add the age and infirmity of Biden to the scandal-plagued nature of his administration, to what we now know about what he did as vice president of the United States, and you're telling me this is a guy that's going to enthusiastically get the masses out to vote for him? Hell, he couldn't campaign last time around. He did it from his basement. But this strikes a chord for me beyond politics. This is not just people of a particular political stripe lashing out at somebody else of a particular political stripe because, I don't know, because they answer a question differently than I would answer it. This is a president of the United States demonstrating his inability to form a sentence or to understand, not even form a sentence, to understand the nature of what was just asked of you and to read the room. The room being that you have people in Hawaii dying because of a massive wildfire, and you were asked to comment on it, and you say no comment. Here's all you have to say. Well, let's play a little little quick version of the Murphy Show players on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. In this version of the Murphy Show players, Belle Kay will play the role of a reporter asking me about the wildfires. I will be playing the role of President Joe Biden. So first, let me put on my adult diapers, and then we'll move on from there. Now, this is how you do it, Joe. If you don't want to answer the question, if you have no idea what's going on, if you are cognitively able to understand the question asked of you, here's how it goes. Ready? Scene. Go.
Mr. President, what can be done about the fires in Hawaii right now?
Oh, we're praying for those folks out there. We're going to do everything we can. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. That's it. That's all. We're praying for them.
Haven't you in the past said thoughts and prayers weren't enough?
I'm out, man. I'm gone.
Mr. President, thoughts and prayers. You said that's not enough in the past.
I mean, is it that hard? Instead, we get that. We get no comment. Well, we have a lot to comment on regarding the Hawaii fires, and we'll continue doing it in just a moment. It's 12:31. You're listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We are live at J Street Korean Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B.
I
Everybody's
took
going to be here.
advantage of Craft Body Scan several months ago. They were just opening up their facility here in Nashville. You know, they've been doing this since 2017, and they've got facilities all over the country, and they're growing by leaps and bounds on a day-to-day basis. Well, in Nashville, we finally have seen Craft Body Scan land, and it's incredible. I walked through my paces. The gang at Craft Body Scan sat me down. We talked. I had a health consultation there. We walked through that. I gave them a little bit of information about me, and then I was scanned right on site. It only took about 5, 6, 7 minutes, something like that. The images are then reviewed by a board-certified radiologist. They look for abnormalities that you can't feel, and that's the benefit of the Craft Body Scan, is that before you feel symptoms, before you become symptomatic with something going on inside of your body, you can see it. You can see it, and the radiologist that looks over your examination will get those findings to you quickly, and you can do something about it, and time is so crucial when it comes to those things going on inside of your body. Now, ideally, they'll say, hey, you're A-okay, everything's all good, but if not, wouldn't you want that peace of mind? Come on. craftbodyscan.com for more information. That's craftwithacbodyscan.com for more info, or give them a call today and tell them that I told you about the $149 couples scan for your heart and your lungs. 615-436-1000, 436-1000. It's Craft Body Scan. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A lot of thought and comment on the Super Text line. We'll get to that momentarily. 615-737-9986. You can watch the radio show on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. You can go to 997WTN.com and you can stream the show. There's a lot of different ways to stream the show. Obviously, you can listen on 99.7 FM, and we love, love, love that. There's an expectation that the White House is going to come out with some verbiage regarding the Hawaii wildfires that have ravaged a couple of those islands. We will continue monitoring the story. Almost 100 people are dead. And then I get this in from 1037. It's time we had a serious talk about DEWs. Direct energy weapons. 1037 says, I'm a former firefighter from Central Florida. I witnessed DEWs tested there and also saw the end results of those tests. I can get extremely specific on the when and the where if you want to discuss. Well, I give the phone lines for a reason, 1037. You're invited to call. I don't know anything about DEWs. So I'd be all in on there. By the way, Johnny B is now responding, saying he's never been to Trace's house either. But he's been to theirs.
They're tight buddies.
I know they are. I didn't really ask to go to Trace. He did tell me that Trace lives in Eagleville, though. I did not dare ask to go to Trace's house. I was fearful that he would have said yes, and then Trace would get mad at me about it. And Trace is a large man and could do some damage. Larry is next up in Clarksville about the firefighters either in Mount Juliet or Hawaii. We're thinking about all of them. Hey, Larry, how are you?
Hey, brother, thanks for taking my call. And first of all, Hank says hello. Back before you were born, 1994, Nastyville had a horrible ice storm that hit a transformer and set my house on fire. It did $94,000 in damage. Even through the icy streets, Nashville Fire Department was there within 5 minutes. And then while trying to fight the fire, one of the firefighters fell through the ceiling. And I told the chief to get them out of there. I had insurance. He goes, Larry, they know when to come out. And then on Joe Biden, because you cover so much information, on Joe Biden, it's too bad he didn't go swimming in a great white. Took care of him. But evidently, even great whites don't eat crap.
Hey-o!
And I'll leave that right there, brother.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow night, man. Larry, I think, is coming to the event tomorrow night at J Street Korean Grill and Bar with in a limo, he claims. Larry has also committed to me that if given the ability, he's going to hug Dan Mandis around his body and kiss him on the head. That is what Larry told me he was planning on doing.
Is Erica going with you tomorrow?
She is out of town.
So who's going to have lipstick?
I mean, I can get some.
Yeah, I would take lipstick with
No,
you.
I'm going to have some so Larry can get, a nice thing of lipstick. All right, so Jonathan sent me the message about DEWs. I don't know a lot about direct energy weapons, except that, I know what lasers are. I think lasers would be classified as a direct energy weapon. I think there are sound weapons that have been developed. There's plenty of stuff that we probably have no idea what's going on, but I don't know if would an electronic pulse be considered a direct energy weapon? I don't know. I don't know anything about them. Jonathan may. Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
Yes. Hey, Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Love your show, man. It's first time calling in.
I'm glad you're here. Talk to me about these DEWs.
Let me give you a little backstory on myself. I graduated high school in Orlando, Florida in 1992. I went to the Florida State Fire College in Ocala, graduated there. I worked for Orange County Fire Rescue and Orlando Fire Department, and then worked for the U.S. Forest Service on a hotshot crew out in Montana and Northern California during the mid and late 90s. I worked for engineering firm now here in Middle Tennessee, and I'm also a law enforcement officer. Been a law enforcement officer for 10 years. So at the end of the term I'm currently serving, it'll be 12 years, just to kind of qualify myself here. I was working, this would have been 1991, before I graduated high school. Some people let me used to bow hunt on their property in a town south of Orlando, south of the Orlando International Airport, called Narcoossee. And I was on a tree stand one night looking due east, and I watched this giant laser beam basically create a donut-shaped cloud in the sky and come down and pulse 4 times very brightly. And I told people about it. There was nobody with me. I told people about it, and they were all like, yeah, what were you doing out there on that tree stand? And, it never went anywhere. And after I graduated high school, started working in the fire EMS service and for an engineering firm, and we took turns working weekends. So it was my weekend to work Saturday. And I was tasked with going out to the Deseret Ranch. For a lot of people who don't know, the largest private landholder in Central Florida is the Mormon Church. And they have a several 100,000-acre ranch that sits east of Central Florida, between the coast and mainland Central Florida, kind of due west of Melbourne. And it's heavily secured, heavily guarded. You have to be big money, doctor or lawyer or radio talk show host to have a hunting lease out there. And I got tasked with going out there. Now, Sprint had a switch station out there with 3 huge satellite dishes. It was overseas telecommunications, and they were doing some construction work. So I had to go out there and pick up some concrete specimens from a concrete pour they had out there. So I was inside the gate, and I'm a naturally curious person, so I was in a company vehicle, and I said, man, I'm going to drive around here and take a look, see what's behind this fabled gate. And I started driving, and on my right-hand side, there was a 20-foot-high chain-link fence with razor wire on top of it that stretched for about a mile, and it said Lockheed Martin on it. And, of course, Martin Marietta was a Central Florida company before they merged with Lockheed, and they became Lockheed Martin. And I followed this fence line for about a mile, and it made a right, and I followed it for about another half a mile, and it came to a big gate, and the gate was wide open. And there was a small building inside the gate, and just being, like I said, naturally curious, I had to drive in and take a look. And inside this gate was a sand flat that was about a mile square as far as the eye could see, and it was dotted with what looked like puddles of ice.
Hey, Jonathan, I'm not trying to interrupt. We just need to compress this. I don't have unlimited. I don't have unlimited time to set. I mean, because I feel like you're just setting it up, and so.
Right.
Yeah, we all know that DEWs exist, right?
Right.
Right. So
this is where they were tested during the 90s. Out there on that sand flat were lots of Vietnam era armored vehicles that were melted like candle wax. And so I got back to the office Monday, and on the map on the wall, there was a block of property inside the Deseret Ranch that just had black lines through it. And I asked my dispatcher, I said, what is that? And he said, it's called the Laser Ranch. And it's where they melt things with lasers from space. So that's where they were tested during the 90s. I witnessed them. They're there. They've been miniaturized now. They were put in 747.
Yeah, I don't know that. Here's my thought on this. I don't know that anyone is doubting the existence of electromagnetic energy fields that are fired like lasers. We learned that in Real Genius in the 1980s. But
sure.
My question is how did the conversation get started that the Maui wildfire, the wildfires fires in Hawaii are a result of direct energy weapons?
They're using the theory that burning vegetation set the structures on fire. Okay? If that were the case, how come the vegetation is still green and the structures are burned out? In some of the Northern California
Well, some of the
fires,
some of the trees, yeah, some of the trees are still standing, but the trees are by definition green. The structures are not. The structures are made primarily of dried wood.
In Northern California, we saw fires that burned aluminum bridge railings but didn't burn the vegetation around it. That physically does not make sense.
Okay, so for what? Who's doing this?
This all ties back into Agenda 2030. I mean, they're trying to force people out of rural areas, and this is how they're going to do it.
Wait, so they being what? The government, the swamp, the underground,
the government, the elites, yeah,
World
World
Economic Forum. So.
Yeah, and I mean
they are trying to force people off of Hawaii,
off of very lucrative beachfront property in Hawaii. Absolutely. Watch who comes in and buy. Just pay attention to who comes in and buys this property up. Just keep your eyes on it. That's all I'm saying. You know, everybody's got a digital camera in their.
I don't think everything's a conspiracy though, Jonathan. Sometimes wildfires happen.
Sometimes wildfires happen, and wildfires burn according to physics. Wildfires don't leave vegetation unburned and melt aluminum.
Well, natural phenomenon is an interesting thing. You know, I've been a part of post-tornado investigations through the National Weather Service in Alabama, where I viewed, one side of the street was completely and totally destroyed, and the other side of the street, the houses were fine. So sometimes things happen. Sometimes, I'm just, I'm not saying I don't know. I don't know. I just kind of go Occam's razor on this type of thing. Sometimes the easiest and most plausible explanation is the real explanation. I think that we are way out in front of our skis to suggest that the World Economic Forum or the New World Order is forcing people out of the suburbs. And why would they start with Hawaii? Why wouldn't they start with more of a red state to get people into the concentrated urban centers? I don't want to go down the road. I mean, there was a time where we wanted to do Conspiracy Theory Monday, right? Maybe this is that time. I don't know. Hey, to tell you, I'm going to do this real quick before we take the break, to tell you real quickly about an event that's happening tomorrow. If you cannot come to Hendersonville and you're down in Williamson County, Aaron Goldbranson joins us on the show. My apologies for his wait. Aaron, I don't know if you have any conspiracy theories to lend to the Hawaii wildfire story, but if you do, just throw them out there on the table. But I knew that you wanted to tell everyone about the event that's happening tomorrow night, which is garnering a lot of pushback, which is baffling to me. Talk to me, Aaron.
Well, just to be clear on the conspiracy side of things, I think everything bad that happens in the world is the result of the Joe Biden administration. So there's that. But even when the ice cream is out of McDonald's. But we've got an event with our Williamson County chapter of the Tennessee Faith and Freedom Coalition happening at 5:30 to 7:30 tomorrow at the Williamson County Public Library on Columbia Avenue. Again, that's 5:30 to 7:30 tomorrow at the Williamson County Public Library. On Columbia Avenue with Congressman Andy Ogles and Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson. Now, you've been to our meetings. You've graced us with your presence. We talk about how to stop the evil scourge that is child and human trafficking. So some Marxist outlets and a anti-gun group apparently in Williamson County has decided that they are coming to protest us, and which is very ironic because we are. We're a very conservative group where we stand on a lot of different issues, but our main purpose is the eradication of child and human trafficking. So that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow night. I don't know. I don't know what the Marxist protesters are going to be protesting against, other than what we're doing. But that's just kind of strange.
So you've got Marxist protesters that are out protesting, but don't you also? I mean, you have conservative groups that are frustrated with you for some reason. Is that a result of the special session, or do you know why?
Oh, we're just talking probably grumbling, personal hatred, and they don't like for people to succeed. You got to remember, there are people out there that want a dictatorial hold on what it means to be a conservative, and I also find that those people aren't conservatives. But yes, you have a couple groups out there that don't want us to succeed in our mission of stopping child human trafficking. Some say they're on the right, others are Marxists, and they don't want this event to do well. So we need everybody to show up tomorrow from 5:30 to 7:30. Leave your eyeliner and at home because we don't go for that. But that's what we're all about, is stopping child human trafficking.
Well,
and,
I do encourage, for those who can't get up to Hendersonville, obviously that's where we will be. Otherwise, I'd be down there with you, Aaron. But if you can't get up to Hendersonville tomorrow night for our event, then, this is available to you. A good conservative organization like the Tennessee Faith and Freedom Coalition needs to be supported. I certainly appreciate what you guys do with regard to human trafficking. We've talked about it many, many times, and I do believe, I did not say this explicitly the last time that we talked, but I do believe without your influence and without lending your voice to the conversation, it is possible that we wouldn't have seen anything in this special session about human trafficking, and hopefully we can get something good on that front done.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that. And it is very important. And then just real quick, some of those so-called conservative groups are saying that the human trafficking priority is somehow a backdoor into a red flag law. That is about the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It's about saving the children, and anybody who's saying otherwise is honestly just stomping on the graves and the victimization of these children. It's pretty sick.
Aaron, love you guys. Let us know how it goes. Hopefully the protest will peter out to nothing. That's normally what happens in these types of circumstances, but we will see. Tell Congressman Ogles I said hello. I'll see him at the end of the month at the Americans for Prosperity event, and obviously tell Jack we said hello, okay?
Will do. I appreciate you, Matt.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Absolutely. There's Aaron Branson with the Tennessee Faith and Freedom Coalition, 1253 on Super Talk. Friends, if you are having trouble listening or hearing your radio, if you're having trouble hearing friends in conversation, maybe it's a matter of not going to the movies or not wanting to go out to dinner because you can't hear the conversations that are going on around you. If that's the case, may I introduce you to Brentwood Hearing Center? Ronnie and his team of audiologists want to help. All it takes, for 3 decades they've been doing this, all it takes is a telephone call and set up an appointment for a visit. The doctors of audiology will put you through your paces, and I promise you, if they identify something, they're going to tell you exactly what it is, and they will set about fixing your issue. Look, folks, the average person waits way too long to deal with their hearing loss, and it's not going to go away. It is a matter of life, and it is a matter of being able to get the most out of life. And we believe you can with Brentwood Hearing Center. Ask about their Paradise Life hearing aid. It's called the Phonak, which is a waterproof hearing aid, so you can splash about the pool with your kids or your grandkids, and you don't have to worry about taking the hearing aid out. Brentwood Hearing Center, better hearing for a better life, 615-377-0420, 377-0420 for Brentwood Hearing Center. Super Talk 99.7 WTN will suspend conversation about DEWs, direct energy weapons, for a couple of minutes, but maybe we're back on the other side. I would love to talk to you about it. I can't wrap my brain around the idea that that's what this is. Maybe you can help me. It's the Murphy Show, Super Talk.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund and you don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for the world-famous Glock store located on Airlane Drive just off of Elm Hill Pike. Have you been yet? If not, what are you waiting on? If you're a gun enthusiast, you need to see this. 35,000 square feet of showroom space. Big, bright, and man, oh man, do they have the guns you're looking for. Obviously, they specialize in Glocks. They call themselves the Glock store, but they've got all brands, all makes and models, all shapes and sizes. They have performance parts for you as well. Now, if you're an enthusiast, like I say, and you're looking for something a little extra, like a pyramid trigger, a tungsten guide rod, extended controls, night sights, whatever it might be, they've got them for you. And most of these, they manufacture a lot of the parts that they use use right there on site, if not most of the parts. They ship, if not across America, worldwide. So they've got helpful employees to guide you through the entire experience. If you're a novice, don't be afraid of this. They can walk you through it. And let's talk about training. Training galore at the Glock store. Shoot 270 memberships are now available for you. Go to shoot270.com for more information on that. Shoot270.com. Matter of fact, they've got a class coming up the first Saturday of September that you'll want to find out about. Go to theglockstore.com to find out more about that. When you go by for whatever reason, do me a favor. I mean, amidst the awe of what it is, just tell somebody that Matt Murphy sent you to the world famous Glock store. Hour number 2 of the Matt Murphy Show starts right now. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you for being with us. Episode 398 of our time together. The Drive with Brian Wilson at 3 o'clock this afternoon, a part of information-fueled and opinion-driven news talk radio for the masses on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Also on Talk TV. Hello there. How are you? Glad to have you with us. We would love to hear from you. 615-737-9986 if you so desire. 615-737-9986. 9986. That's the telephone number where you can communicate directly with us via the phone lines, or you can also send us a super text. Joe Young says, how about high winds and a downed electrical wire and dry brush? You know, we were discussing in the first hour the wildfires in Hawaii. I also spoke about the fire that happened over the weekend in Mount Juliet, which left multiple families homeless. And I just feel like there's something that we need to do for those families. And I'm going to try to find where to go so I can relate it to you regarding the families that have been displaced and out of their apartment homes in Mount Juliet. That was just off the interstate, less than a mile from me. And that fire happening Saturday afternoon. But in the midst of discussing the Hawaii fires and, you know, the sad no comment by the President of the United States of America, and it is sad. I say it's sad because I don't know how much of what Joe Biden knows and how much of what he doesn't know. I know that it's a crying shame that we don't really have a president of the United States, at least one that has been elected. Someone's running the show, but it ain't Joe. And I can find no better evidence of this than the occurrence of what went down over the weekend. Joe Biden, tone deaf as he is, and trust me when I tell you that the mainstream media would not allow any Republican president to get away with this, much less Donald Trump get away with this. While Hawaii burns and the bodies are being counted, Joe Biden, fresh off of a vacation at the beach, decides to go spend a little more time at the beach. And in the process of doing so, he spends a couple of hours down at the beach, and he's coming off the beach, and one of the reporters gathered there asks him if he has any thoughts about the Hawaii wildfires, which are now the most significant, in terms of death toll, the most significant wildfire in the last century in the United States of America. There are almost 100 people confirmed dead, and the expectation is many, many more will be confirmed. Regardless of how you think it all started, and we'll get to that in a moment, the devastation is difficult to comprehend. And I don't know enough about how fires burn to tell you comprehensively or to explain to you. I use my common sense because some people are questioning, how are these structures burning and some of the trees remain standing? Well, the trees are green. And if you give the fire fuel like a house where fuel is abundant, I know that it focuses on the dead wood as opposed to the live wood. One way or the other. The devastation is incredible, and the imagery and just really the conversation surrounding these fires is devastating. The idea that someone would have to literally pick hell or high water We've all heard that phrase, right? Come hell or high water. In Hawaii, people had to pick between the hell of the wildfire or the water of the ocean. They jumped in the ocean to save themselves from the fire.
Yeah, there was video that showed up online last night of people like with backpacks on and full clothes standing out in the surf to get away from the fires.
That is, I mean, obviously it's devastating for those individuals and those families, and it's devastating for our nation. And when asked to comment on this, Mr. President, do you have any comment? I mean, all you have to say is our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers are going out to the people of Hawaii. We're going to do everything in our power to help them. Instead, Joe says no comment. Now, here's my prediction. I don't know if they've done it yet or not, but if the White House is asked about the no comment, the White House will claim that Joe Biden did not hear them. I don't know if that's happened or not yet, but that's what they'll say. In the meantime, there are theories about how all of this started. Now, there are some on social media that are claiming that DEWs started this deadly wildfire. DEWs would be a direct energy weapon, like a laser or some sort of sonar. Of course, the National Weather Service is saying that the blazes in Maui were fueled by dry conditions and strong winds as a result of a nearby hurricane, Hurricane Dora, which did not hit directly. But winds, I mean, we all know, right? I lived in Alabama for a while. I've lived in Georgia for a while. I mean, I don't know how much of the wind. I've not been through a hurricane, quote unquote, in Tennessee. You know, one would have to be going pretty fast to cut through, you know, whatever, Mississippi or Alabama or into the Gulf or off the coast of the Atlantic and get to Tennessee with any sort of punch, one would think. But I know living in Alabama, I mean, I've gone through a number of them. I've seen the devastation from Michael. I've seen the devastation from, obviously, Katrina and Rita. And when those bands of storms come through as a result of a hurricane, a lot of times you're feeling 30, 40 mile-an-hour winds where there is no rain. And that was the suggestion here on Hawaii. And literally portions of Maui have been razed to the ground. To speak to this, Bobby calls us next. Hello, Bobby. Welcome to the Matt Murphy Show. Hope you're doing well.
I'm well. Are you?
I am fabulous, Bobby. Thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
I just had one short comment to make. I don't know about the laser things or whatever, but one of the last speeches that George W. Bush made that I heard, in that speech, he made a comment concerning getting ready for the New World Order. I don't know what it was leading up to that comment or what came after, but I do remember that comment being made. Now, I know that you folks don't deal with conspiracy theories and stuff like that, and I really don't either. I don't have internet anymore, TV reception. I don't have a landline phone, and I did enough research on it that you can get way out in the weeds on that conspiracy theory. But I do believe that certain things are done, but I can't prove it. But I do remember that comment that George W. Bush made. And that's all I had to say.
I think that George W. Bush probably said something about a new world order, not realizing the complete and total ramifications of what he was saying. The suggestion is being made by a few that this is not a natural phenomenon in Hawaii. And for those of you saying so, I'm going to need to see a scintilla of evidence before I would suggest to you that this conspiracy theory has any legs to it. I've learned not to discount anything after COVID-19, after 2020 and the election cycle. I understand that there are hands that are attempting to manipulate things outside of our sight lines. I'm not naive enough to believe otherwise. But just because someone said something about it on social media, why are we so prone to believe it? We are becoming more and more and more conspiracy theory prone in our world because of recent events. I mean, hell, the government of the United States of America through the CDC, through the NIH, tried to gaslight us all the way through COVID-19. They lied like hell when they told us it came from a bat meat market. Well, all of our evidence suggests that it came from a bat meat market. And shut up, Fauci. Just shut your lying mouth. So I don't begrudge these types of things, but I have to douse a little cold water on them when I say I've seen no evidence that any of this happened. Come on, man. The directed energy weapons, or DEWs, being used on Hawaii are powerful enough to set the Pacific Ocean on fire, they said. All right, so no one denies that these types of things exist, and they probably exist in ways that we can't possibly imagine, but I've also seen zero evidence outside of just nonsensical posts on social media. What surprises me are the amount of people that are actually believing all of this. You know what the problem is? We don't do controlled burns like we should do controlled burns anymore because of environmentalist groups. I mean, remember the wildfires out in California that were shutting down major portions of the electrical grid several years ago? Those wildfires were a direct result of not being able to do controlled burns, killing the underbrush, keeping the big trees available. And oh, by the way, that's partially the reason why you're seeing big trees that are still there. And I don't even know what the suggestion is.
Well, the wildfires in Canada were caused by arson, but, that's got to be part of the conspiracy now, too.
Right. Not, although the government would want you to believe it's climate change, but yeah, sure. I don't even know what the conspiracy theory is on the big trees in Hawaii survived, but the buildings got burned. I mean, yeah, that's the way fires work sometimes. Especially if there's a lot of wind and they're moving quickly. I mean, I don't know enough about fires to tell you, but even I know that. Maybe Chad's got a thought on it. Hey, Chad, glad you called. How are you? Hey, Chad?
Yeah, I'm here.
I am too, Chad.
You hear me?
Hey.
All right. Flash point of a fire is 117 degrees for spontaneous combustion. If you have all those winds and you're blowing a house that's on fire, it's going to reach about 2,000 degrees, and we're supposed to believe that the trees are never going to get any sparks as dry as they say it all was, and there's no surrounding fire around any of the underbrush, just the houses. I mean, I know that Hawaii has construction of houses different from the mainland, but those trees are still susceptible at 117 degrees to spontaneously combust. That's what most fire alarms are set at to go off. That means there is a fire in the structure. So if all these winds are blowing all these embers around, which fires do in the wind, how come none of the underbrush and none of the trees caught on fire?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. You're saying that trees spontaneously combust at 117 degrees?
Fire will spontaneously combust on anything once it reaches 117 degrees. It will catch on fire.
Wait, hold on, Chad. 3 weeks. I mean, I'm just asking questions. I'm not arguing with you, but 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was 118 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona. Why did the entirety of Phoenix, Arizona not spontaneously combust?
What I'm saying is like if you have a fire detector at 117 degrees and it detects that temperature, that is when it sets off and lets you know that there is an open flame in your house. Okay?
Right. That's a setting on your fire detector. That's not when things spontaneously combust.
Right. But what I'm saying is those houses were burning at well above 117 degrees.
Well,
correct?
Of course they were. Fire burns hotter than that. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to say that let's just take for purpose of argument a 30-mile-an-hour wind. If it's blowing those houses constantly, like they say, then something besides just the houses should have caught on fire, i.e. automobiles, trees, underbrush, grass. How come they didn't?
You tell me, Chad. How come they didn't?
I don't know. That's something I can't figure out because I've been around wildfires and seen them. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense.
I've been around a lot of wildfires where the bigger trees, they were singed like these trees are at the bottom. They were burned at the bottom, but they looked fine at the top because the wind pushes the fire through so quickly that the tops don't ignite. Is that not a reasonable explanation?
That is a reasonable doubt. Yes, it is. But just like the fires that happened up around Gatlinburg, it took trees, houses, and all.
By the way, paper, I mean, didn't Ray, I mean, I thought Ray Bradbury taught us that books burn at 451 degrees, right? So
I don't know.
Yeah, so it was a book called Fahrenheit 451. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the book, haven't read much of him, but I do know the Gatlinburg fires, when they came through, they burned trees, underbrush, houses. They did not discriminate. And that part of Tennessee.
What I'm asking you, Chad, is you're inquisitive enough to suggest that something else is going on, and my question is, what do you think's going on and why?
I mean, I don't know. You're talking about the DEWs. I mean, there does exist airplanes and aircraft that are designed to knock down ballistic missiles with directed energy weapons. I mean, I've seen them. You want a picture?
No one is, to my knowledge, suggesting that direct energy weapons don't exist. My question is, why is it more plausible for you to believe that this is a DEW as opposed to there was a lot of wind, it was a fast-moving fire, it burned the things with closer to the ground and did not burn some of the larger trees, as I've seen wildfires do all over the country, by the way. If it's a fast-moving fire with a lot of wind, it'll push the fire through before it burns all of the tinder in its wake.
Of course. So where was the ignition source?
I don't know, Chad. Lighter?
I don't know. I mean, that's
Zippo?
Something that they're going to have to find out.
Why are we looking for a conspiracy theory? I'm trying to be reasonable. Why in the world are we desperate for this to be a conspiracy theory?
Because in the thousands of years that man has had culture, we've never seen, houses burned down before.
The wildfires in Gatlinburg were just sitting there burning. Mm-hmm. There were 40 and 50 mile an hour winds pushing these fires through. I'm going to stop. I apologize. I am sorry. I got a little over the top and I yelled a little bit, but for the life of me, I don't understand what the genesis of this conspiracy theory is right now. I don't understand it. What are we saying? That the New World Order is controlling all of this and that all of this is beyond. I don't understand what we're saying. You know what's far more problematic is that we don't burn underbrush because of the environmentalist concerns. That we have gotten so dadgum concerned with climate change in the United States of America and the world that we don't do the basic things necessary to keep wildfires at bay during wildfire season. I mean, several years ago, the California wildfires were burning out of control. Part of the reason they burned out of control was because environmentalists would not allow the electrical grid companies out there to go and do controlled burns of the underbrush. Controlled burns, by the way, that don't burn the big trees, that just burn the other stuff. Chad, I apologize to you. I did not mean to yell right after your call, but it does. I don't know. I don't know where we're going with all this. It's 123 on Super Talk. When it comes to foundation repair, waterproofing, or concrete leveling, there's only one that I would recommend. It's United Structural Systems. Friends at Spat Murphy for USS. They guarantee their best. When you see the telltale signs, and you know it when you see it, if you have doors sticking in your home, or stair-step cracks in masonry, or chimneys that tilt or lean, or maybe there are all of those signs. Maybe your bricks are cracking. Maybe it's a waterproofing issue that you've noticed with mold or mildew, standing water in crawl spaces, musty odors, or wood rot in your home. Whatever these reasons are, they're not going to go away, and you need to do something. And I encourage you to call USS. They guarantee their best at USS. USS is a high quality. They've got the ultimate reputation, and don't trust me, 25,000 plus customers for the last, how many years? 1994 to today. That's almost 30 years of quality from USS. Go to USSTN.com or give them a call, 615-488-7855, 488-7855 for USS. Hey, friends, my friend Stokes Nielsen, he has such inventive ways to give back to his community. You know, we talked for a while about his honoring the women's memorial for the women in military service, and now he's got a new concept, and it really does honor our men and women who are in blue. Stokes has put together a concert. Now, sadly, this law enforcement appreciation concert has to be closed to the public because we've got many on-duty officers that will be celebrated, and some of those officers are behind the scenes and, you know, plainclothes type deal. And because of the security of their jobs and due to the nature of the event, it is closed to the public. It's private. But we want the public to help us. Now, you're going to see many pictures from the event and other things. It's produced and performed to show groups of law enforcement the appreciation that they deserve. And Stokes is putting on one right here in Nashville. It is the 7th Law Enforcement Appreciation Concert that Stokes has put on since 2021. But what he wants to do, and this is the opportunity for you, show these law enforcement officers that we support them. If you have a group, maybe a youth group, maybe it's from your church group, Sunday school, maybe a school group, or whatever it might be. Maybe you and your office want to do this with your office mates. The goal is to cover the venue with posters of support from the community. You can't mingle with them at the event, but you can show your love through signs of encouragement. We want enough signs so every single police officer has an opportunity to take one home. We need your help. go to signvolunteer997@gmail.com. That's signvolunteer997@gmail.com for more information. Help me help Stokes thank our law enforcement community. Signvolunteer997@gmail.com. Alrighty then, it's the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WT, and I've calmed down. I'm all good. I love every single one of you, whether you dabble in conspiracy theory or not. I dabble in one or two. You know, if you believe it, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's truth. And the truth is out there. 129-615-737-9986 is our telephone number. I'm going to get to a few of you before we shift. Really, we're not shifting very far away from this subject because I've got a fire chief outside. And the fire chief, we'll talk about structural fires like we saw in Mount Juliet. And the chief just told me that he was stationed in Hawaii for a couple of years.
Are we sure that he's not a member of the New World Order? Does he have an Illuminati badge on his uniform?
I haven't seen it, but I didn't look closely.
Double check.
So you're just doing this thing, and we're talking. If you're sure, don't move.
Don't say it loud. He might hear.
Don't clench your teeth. Your teeth clench.
He might hear us.
He's not such a. Okay. Marie is in Nashville. Hey, Marie. Hey, Marie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can, Marie. You're up next. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Hey, I'm sorry. You're on my car radio, and I can hear the radio. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a theory. I don't really think it's a conspiracy theory because those are only conspiracies.
You better turn that radio. You better turn the radio down, Marie, but not because it'll confuse you, but it'll confuse the listening audience.
Okay, yeah. Is that better?
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Let me
All right. Yes, you're up. Go right ahead.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So basically, have you heard of the 15-minute cities?
The 15-minute cities.
Yes, the 15-minute cities that they're planning on building to where everything's in within 15 minutes, like the new cities that they're going to build, the New World Order, so everything's close together. So basically, if you burn Hawaii down to the ground, it's a perfect place for you to build a 15-minute city to where they can come in and usher in the New World Order.
Okay, I'll have to become familiar with these 15-minute cities.
I'm surprised you haven't heard about them. I think they're calling them something else, but where everything's within 15 minutes. It's convenient. It's all electric. Everything's easy. You can have your body scanned, whatever. It's a 15-minute city. And Hawaii, that's where they're more than likely going to build the next one. Look it up. You'll see.
So what? This is all so they have to destroy it in order to rebuild it kind of thing?
Exactly, yes. And if you, I don't know, I mean, I know you have, it seems like you understand that COVID was a big hoax, but then you still think that it's a possibility that our government's honest with us and doesn't really have an evil agenda behind every single thing that they do.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't.
I think, Marie, all I can tell you is that I think for myself, and I don't belong to groups. I don't belong to any organization. I analyze individual situations on my own, and I come to my own conclusions based on the information that I gather.
That's good, and you should just. I guess
Thank you. And so I would hope that if we disagree on certain aspects of anything, that you would be respectful of that and not automatically conclude that I'm a part of the conspiracy.
No, I don't think you're part of the conspiracy. I was just listening to your comments about how you're open to other theories, but you also think that it was a natural disaster. That's what it seems like you're saying, which. I mean, I do not believe
that the Hawaii wildfires are a concerted, conspiratorial, and organized effort to create a 15-minute city, if that's what you're asking me.
Well, that's fine that we don't agree. I think that that's what it's going to be.
Okay, good. Well, I don't know why you even try anymore, because if these people are powerful enough to do that, they can destroy you in a moment's notice.
Well, Yeah, I know that, and they're all evil and satanic anyway. But I was just giving your listeners something else to look up. Maybe don't use Google because they censor all of that. But
what should we use, Marie? I mean, really, the entire internet is an entity that can do something like what's happening in Maui controls the entirety of the internet, Marie.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I would say maybe read your Bible first, seek first the kingdom of God, and then from there, hopefully the discernment will kick in. And while you're following Christ, following Jesus, you can kind of see the smoke screen. You can see the lies that are right in front of you.
Well, Marie, I hope that you take this opportunity to build a relationship with me so that you can, more so than me educating you, that you can educate me on these things. Is that fair?
Well, I would be more than happy to share Jesus with you if that's what you'd like.
Well, I'm sorry, I missed the last part of what you said. Go ahead.
I said I'd be more than happy to share Jesus with you if that's what you'd like.
No, I'm all good on Jesus, Marie. I'm comfortable there. I was talking more about the conspiracy theories that the New World Order is taking over and creating 15-minute cities.
I mean, well, they are. That's not really the conspiracy theory. They actually are, like with their whole beast system, the chips with the pay. They're getting rid of the American dollar. It's all together.
Okay. All right, I got a scoot. It's 1:35 on Super Talk. Hey, gang, it's Matt Murphy, and I have lost over 26 pounds. Now, I don't know exactly how much over, but I'll weigh on Wednesday, and I'll let you know. But it's over 26 pounds in just over 6 weeks. Thank you to PhD Weight Loss. It's the best endorsement that I can give you is that weight number, over 26 pounds. And I'm on my way to my target weight, and I've done it without being hungry. I tell you, it's made a huge difference in my life, and I know that it can make a difference in yours. I feel better based on how I'm eating, how I'm sleeping. And I'm telling you, friends, it's the best thing that I've done in terms of my weight loss. And I've been through programs in the past, and PhD Weight Loss is simply the best. And if I can do it, I know that you can as well. They make it easy. It is personally tailored for you. You'll have an individual consultant. Thank you to Dr. Ashley Lucas and the PhD Weight Loss team. I'm well on my way to my target weight. There's science to this program, and they will help you lose weight as well. Most men lose between 3 and 5 pounds per week, and I'm right there at about 4 pounds a week. Most women lose between 2 and 3 pounds. Don't forget the PhD guarantee. PhD Weight Loss guarantees if you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, they'll continue to coach you for free until you do. You really can't ask for more than that. Go to myphdweightloss.com. That's myphdweightloss.com right now for more information. It's myphdweightloss.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy Show. Believe it or not, as we shift far away from the conversation we were just discussing, really as far away as I can possibly go, the conversation still involves men and women that on a daily basis, much like we've seen in the aftermath, regardless of how you believe the Maui wildfires began, certainly there are men and women that are battling those wildfires as we speak. And obviously, your heart goes out to the disaster that it is, to the life that it has taken. We saw a firefighter in Mount Juliet Saturday afternoon get critically injured battling an apartment blaze that was the result of lightning because of a storm that came through. And I like to remind you, I don't do it enough, that the men and women that put on the uniform, police officers, firefighters, first responders, EMTs, they battle it every day. They never know when they're going to face a life-threatening situation. And so it's the least, and I mean this, it's the least that we can do to remind ourselves of that. And frankly, I think it's the least that we can do to participate in something like the 10th anniversary Williamson County Battle of the Badges. I had the honor of meeting Brandy Spradley. Am I saying your last name right? Okay, I hope so. I hope I was. Brandy Spradley at the Battle of the Badges that went on at Nissan Stadium last year. And she asked me if I would be willing to host she, along with some of her compatriots in studio, to talk about the Williamson County Battle of the Badges. And I was like, yeah, well, it'll be my honor. Hey, Brandy, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
It's good to see you, too. Would you like to introduce our special guest?
To my right, the infamous, famous Owensville Fire Chief David Windrow. We have worked together for about, 10 years now?
10 years.
10 years. He's not tired of me yet.
Chief, thank you for being in.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us.
Well, obviously, we're here to encourage people to get out to the Battle of the Badges, but I think it's a little apropos that I ask you about some of the stuff that's going on involving fires. I mean, specifically the Mount Juliet situation, which it turned out to almost be, I mean, it's obviously life-threatening to that firefighter who was involved in battling that blaze. But, I mean, you guys never know when you're going to have that storm or get that call or have that event that's going to put somebody's life in peril.
Yeah, and that's the edge. We don't know. We like it when it's quiet, but that's not what you have us there for. Even this blood drive, Scott Maynard is captain in Franklin Fire. He was injured in training, fell out of a second-story window. He had multiple surgeries at Vanderbilt and used blood products himself as well. So we each day, and I tell people, you don't know who's going to need it next. Is it the mom at St. Thomas having complications with the delivery? Is it a burn victim that's going to Vanderbilt? Is it a heart patient at St. Thomas West? Every day the need's critical. And again, it's that unknown. Life is not perfect.
No question. I want you guys in the firehouse making chili and checking blood pressure for folks who stop by. I don't want you out battling fires.
No, we'd like to stay home, but that's the edge. Again, it could be 2 a.m, 2 p.m. We just train and prepare and hope you never need us. That's what people say, thank you. And I said, I hope you never see me at your house.
Well, that's right. I used to say all the time that I never want to talk to an on-duty cop, and people started thinking that was kind of anti-police. I'm like, no, if you talk to an on-duty cop, that means either you're being accused of doing something wrong or somebody's done something to you, and it's always a bad day. Right. But I stopped saying that and saying, look, I'm going to say hello to every on-duty cop that I possibly can.
Yeah, usually they're behind you with those blue lights. Yeah.
Well, that's right. That's troublesome. That's troublesome. One technical question, Chief, before we talk about the Battle of the Badges, and that is help me understand the protocol, and it might be way too lengthy of a conversation for the time that we have, but something like the apartment fire in Mount Juliet, where you priorities. I mean, I would assume your first priority is to make sure that you get everybody out safely.
Yeah, life safety is always number one, property conservation second.
Right.
And we try to do both simultaneously. Staffing has to do with that and your tactics. A large fire like that, we say big fire, big water. You're probably going to see some ladder trucks in the air. You're going to see what we call our large diameter lines, 2.5 or bigger, fighting the fire. You always, it's an ongoing balance of getting control of the fire, because then it gets better for everybody. But life safety is first. Our first mission is to go in and search for anybody that's still inside. And obviously that's the most vulnerable time. And construction methods have changed. We have to train. Time to collapse is shortened over the years because of the materials being used. It's great for construction.
Explain that, the time to collapse.
Normally in the old days, we call it legacy construction, when you use real big timber and lumber, and you would have 20 to 30 minutes if the fire was on the structure. Now, contents of a room is not a structure fire yet. It's not impinging on the structural members. So you're trying to read the smoke. You find out, but now the materials are better for the builders and the home buyers. They just don't stand up to fire like your mom and your grandma's house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had a cotton couch in your grandma's house. It would smoke for days.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's all synthetic. It goes up like gasoline once it gets hot enough. So
Mm-hmm.
it creates a lot of black smoke that we didn't deal with 30 years ago.
Chief, have you had to make that call to pull your firefighters back?
Yes, and it's a hard call. We're type A. We want to get in there and make a difference.
Right.
I never have trouble sending firefighters in. The trouble is getting them out, because they'll go, Chief, we got it. Well, they can't see the roof collapsing on the.
Right.
We run a house as A, B, C, D. They may be working in the A, B corner and not know that C's collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have that. They don't have the situational awareness. They're micromanaging the area they're in. So we don't have trouble getting firefighters in a building. We have trouble getting them out because they want to make a difference.
Oh, no question about it. Brandy, when did who came up with the concept of the Battle of the Badges?
I think the concept has been around before I ever was a part of the Red Cross. And I do remember one of my coworkers one day saying, when I had first begun, he was like, well, you know, we're coming up with ideas of how to increase the blood collections in the area for the hospitals and the patients. And he said, no, well, we do this. And that's when, at the time, Chief was still in Brentwood, and I think I had contacted Chief Goss, and it kind of went from there. And we just kind of partnered with a sister company here, B.L. Harbert, and Sarah Smiley from B.L. Harbert had just had a blood drive in honor of one of her boss's children. So it just kind of played out that we kind of partnered together, and that's how we came up with it. That was 10 years ago. So this would be our 10th annual that we've been all working together.
And I guess I get in front of myself. For those who aren't familiar with the concept of the Battle of the Badges, just kind of describe what we're trying to do.
So the true concept of the Battle of the Badges, it's you come out and you vote for, okay, are you voting for the police? Are you voting for the fire? Are you voting for the sheriff? Am I forgetting one of them?
No, that's this year.
Yeah.
The police, fire, and sheriff.
And so the donors would come out and they would vote for, okay, well, I want my donation vote to go for, and then the entity that has the most votes wins the battle that year. Now, we don't technically do that. I mean, no.
Yeah,
we'll have the total board up.
I can't imagine that a group of firefighters and a group of police officers are not competitive. I can't imagine that they're competitive.
It's fun-friendly competition, and with our main goal is we use that fun-friendly competition to just create the awareness so that we can get as many donors out to the event as possible.
Sure. So if you go to the Battle of the Badges, and we'll give you all of the details coming up in just a moment in Williamson County, you'll get to pick who you want. You pledge your blood donation to. Who would you suggest they pledge to, Chief?
Oh, it's always fire. But
no bias there.
Yeah, you pledge to firefighters, you pledge to police officers. So, I mean, the idea, and I love it, is that if you have an uncle who's a police officer, or if you have a cousin who's a firefighter, you can support those groups, and it's all in good fun. But I imagine the competition gets pretty hot and heavy there, Chief. Bragging rights, right?
Well, and I think fire has an advantage because most of our guys are medically trained. They start IVs on each other sometimes. So there's not an apprehension about the needles like my brothers in blue. So we tend to do better usually.
Did y'all police officers hear that? I heard that. I heard what he said. He said y'all are scared of needles and firefighters aren't.
Indirectly. Well, I used to be scared of needles, but you go through chemotherapy and you get over that real quick.
How long were you in Brentwood?
24 years in Brentwood.
I bet when you became chief in Nolensville, you thought, man, how long ago was that?
December of 2020.
So, yeah.
3 years coming up.
You probably knew what you were getting into by then, right?
I did. Yeah, I just crossed my 40th anniversary in this business. So, yeah, I had an idea.
I've not seen a city that's growing like Nolensville, boy. Yeah. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch, and obviously managing the growth. We have a new, he's been here almost 3 years now himself, but our new town manager came from Spring Hill, so he's used to growth and trying to manage it, and road improvements and road additions. I mean, that's what Nolensville needs, and those are the big ticket items that he and the mayor and the commissioners are working on.
How do you, my natural curiosity gets the better of me when I think about these things, but I mean, I imagine that entails a lot of you keeping up, right? I mean, as more people move to Nolensville, that means more firefighters are needed.
Yeah, well, they were all volunteer from 76 till we're still a combination department. We still have some of the volunteers. We have some part-time. We have some career. The growth is just exponential. We've added an EMS unit from Williamson Medical Center to Nolensville Station. We're building a fire station right now. We're ordering fire trucks. I mean, we didn't start from ground zero, but almost. The volunteers left us a little bit I will say they left some things in the cupboard that we didn't have to buy, but there's still just a lot of moving parts.
What is the balance nowadays between straight firefighters versus, help me understand this. I think I have a knowledge of this, that some firefighters are also EMTs.
Yeah, and paramedics.
Right, and then some are just straight firefighters. What's the balance?
Very rare. It's almost some departments, the bigger departments require everybody to be medically certified. Even my small department, all of our career guys are certified. We branched out decades ago to support the system, the EMS system, because a lot of towns, like even in Nolensville, there's one ambulance. If it leaves and goes to Vanderbilt, then the ambulance is either coming from Williamson Medical Center in Franklin or from Brentwood. So there's a slight delay in response time. So we can provide all the services. Most fire departments provide everything up to transport. Now, fire departments, Nashville Metro Fire Transports, Memphis, Germantown, Mount Juliet, there are departments that are starting to even buy ambulances. We can provide the life-saving intervention while the ambulance is getting there. Prep them for transport, start the IVs, shock them if they're in cardiac arrest. Drugs for the advanced paramedics are becoming more common. So it's just to enhance the quality of life for the residents. We're not leaving town. We're there. So we have a shorter response time almost every time, because if the ambulance, there's 18 in service, they're busy all day now in Williamson County.
Brandy, only a few short minutes, and I want to give all of the details on the Battle of the Badges. We encourage you. It's a blood drive, everybody. So you go out and you give, and you feel great for doing so, because the blood is going to be used right here in this community and throughout Tennessee to help loved ones, maybe one of your family. God forbid we have to use blood on one of your family members, but that's the way we get it, is these blood drives. Tell me all about the details.
So the blood drive will be this Wednesday and Thursday at the Brentwood Library from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening on both days. They can go to redcrossblood.org and type in the sponsor code Williamson BOB. There's going to be lots of goodies. We'll do some drawings. There's be some gift cards for donors, T-shirts, for when they come in, And the one thing I just want to, explain to everyone, the Red Cross is more than a blood bank. So we have 5 lines of service. People know us because of the blood services, but we also have disaster, volunteer, military services, and safety and preparedness. And if you support those other 4, then the support of the blood services is so important, because that's what helps us maintain all of the lines of service that we are providing in the community every day.
Y'all go out, and you know what? Just because Chief Winslow is sitting here, you vote firefighter.
Yeah, and
now if a police officer stops by, I'm going to completely flip my position.
We just want the blood supply. We've done over 3,500 units, so that's a lot of lives we've touched. And you don't know. For those of you that haven't met me yet, you saved my life. I was a cancer patient. I took a lot of blood. Chief Walsh, one of my co-chairs, a police officer, was shot in a bank robbery. He used blood products. Scott Maynard, now who's in it with us this year, fell out of a window. He was critical at Vanderbilt several surgeries. Somebody somewhere along your career path, your lifespan, you're going to need blood, and I won't tell you it's seamless, but it's much easier to give blood than to be the person on the receiving end. That it's life or death when you're on the receiving, and there's no substitute. So you can save 3 to life.
It's a breeze. I'll go ahead and say it. It's a breeze to give blood. Just go by and you'll see yourself.
So we'll see you, Wednesday and Thursday?
Yeah, one of those days.
One of those days?
Maybe Thursday.
And this is not both. You're not
Yeah.
going to go both days?
I can't go both days, Bill.
Just one day.
And it's not like any blood drive you'll attend. I like to have
Yeah.
events.
It's a lot of fun.
It's an event, and we're looking for at least 250 more donors.
Yes.
250 donors.
Yep, by Wednesday.
By Wednesday, 2-day event. Chief, one more question.
Yes,
for you.
sir.
How are you doing?
Oh, me and the Lord are winning. I'm in remission. Mine's an incurable, supposedly cancer, but I think they cured it. So we're just going to keep
That's
fighting
awesome.
the fight as long as we have breath.
He's hard-headed.
That helps. Trust me, that helps.
That does help to be have the mindset.
Chief, thank you for everything you do
Thank
for
you,
your
sir.
community. And Brandy, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you for
the
having us.
American
We
Red Cross.
appreciate
Again,
you.
thank you so much.
It's the Battle of the Badges this Wednesday and Thursday. Get out and give as you can. It's 1:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, I'm losing a little weight, and that invariably means eating food that doesn't taste all that great. I mean, I'm just telling you. I mean, it's a little bit on the bland side because, you know, if eating delicious food was a weight loss program, we'd all eat delicious food. But the bottom line is this, is that I don't have to sacrifice because of savory spice, and I've been telling you all this. I cooked on the flat top last night and had some delicious, like beef that I use savory spice on. Love, love, love it. And I forget the amounts that we use. A little salt, a little pepper. The blend from Savory Spice is absolutely terrific. There's 2 locations to serve you. Holly and David have one, L&L Market. That's on Charlotte Pike. The other's right off the square in Franklin. And if you stop in, tell them that I sent you. They have incredible blends. You don't have to be a cooking aficionado to let them help you at Savory Spice because they've already got prepackaged things to help you with recipes as well. Just go by and you'll see the Savory Spice difference. I promise you. You up your food game by upping your spice game. You up your spice game at Savory Spice. Once again, 2 locations. One, L&L Market in Nashville on Charlotte Pike. The other, right off the square in Franklin. Tell them I sent you to Savory Spice.
2:03, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 88 degrees in Nashville with a slight chance of storms today and this evening, but a clear week it looks like ahead. Full weather forecast, first afternoon traffic report on the way. President Biden telling reporters he may visit wildfire-ravaged Hawaii. Here's Jay O'Brien.
When asked if he planned to travel to Maui to survey wildfire damage, the president telling reporters, quote, "We're looking at it." It comes after he signed a federal disaster declaration last week, freeing up funds for the island. The FEMA administrator also on the ground in Hawaii on Friday, along with a surge of federal resources, including FEMA urban search and rescue teams and cadaver dog crews from California and Washington.
In Louisville, parents are searching for backup plans after school bus problems forced schools to close, but Brian Clark says these problems can be found across the nation.
The last student was not dropped off from the first day of school in Louisville until almost 10 o'clock, capping off a disastrous day of busing problems that caused Jefferson County schools to close Monday and Tuesday. In Orlando, parents are being asked to carpool instead of relying on buses. Rideshare company Hop Skip Drive says it conducted a survey and found that an estimated 80% of districts are dealing with driver shortages. There could be problems ahead in the nation's largest school district. Here in New York City, school bus drivers could strike at the start of the school year next month.
Teen crime in Tennessee. 18-year-old Alicia McKnight is facing 42 charges related to vehicle theft. She's been on the top 10 most wanted list for weeks and was caught this weekend trying to break into more cars. A police chase then reportedly ensued. Officials eventually were able to track her down. They had to tase her. She is still in jail on a $200,000 bond. And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
The Tennessee Men's Clinic is available in two separate locations. One of those locations just opened up, I don't know, about 3 months ago or so. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here for guys who have lost energy, motivation, drive. If you don't feel the energy levels like you used to, don't just simply say, well, it's middle-aged. And certainly if you've lost enthusiasm in the bedroom, and that's the way I like to say it because I understand that's personal, but guys, no shame in that game. Half of men in America will lose something in the bedroom before it's time. And it's time to take control of that by getting your levels checked through the Tennessee Men's Clinic. T-levels and the like, they can be so vital to understanding why this is happening and how to make it right. And they can make it right at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. So give a call today or go online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com to find out more information about how they can assist you. Or better yet, just call and schedule an appointment today. 615-208-9090, 208-9090. I encourage you to do so. And when you do, tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you until 3 o'clock. The Drive with Brian Wilson at that time. Much to get into, not involving conspiracy theories, involving the Hawaii wildfires. Pretty crazy. Wild. By crazy, I mean pretty wild. I'm not calling anyone crazy. I'm just saying it's been a pretty wild day. It's been a typical conspiracy theory Monday. 615-737-9986 if you want to get involved in the conversation. I take all comers, as evidenced by the first hour and a half of the show. I want to thank, again, Chief David Winslow, Brandy Spradley, the other Brandy that came in with them. You did not hear from her. Joining us for a few moments, talking about the Williamson County Battle of the Badges. It's a blood drive effort put on in Williamson County on an annual basis. We need about 250 donations, and we beg of you to go on Wednesday or Thursday and find out more. Just go Battle of the Badges online. You can find it anywhere of your choosing. And let's get some pints donated to give blood that is so vital in saving lives like Chief David Winslow, who offered up a little bit of his personal testimony last hour. Good to have those folks in. 615-737-9986. 3812 says, leaving the idea of direct energy or directed energy weapons aside, we have many people in government and others that are resolved to their agenda of climate change legislation and will do whatever is necessary to achieve that objective. That is no doubt. There are people that want to change the world. There have always been people that want to change the world, and most of them or many of them will operate underground in the shadows in order to accomplish their directives. I believe that the climate change initiative is using what is naturally occurring. Is there a man-made component to whatever heat levels are being added to the earth? If there is, I consider that to be a minuscule part of what is going on. But to suggest that the climate isn't changing is to suggest that reality is not happening. Of course the climate is changing. It's what the climate does on a macro scale and a micro scale. Every day the temperature changes in Nashville, Tennessee. And over the course of years and decades and centuries, the climate more broadly floats from hotter to colder to hotter to colder. And what these climate change alarmists have done, they now not just insinuate, but they out and out state that the changing climate is due to man's contribution to the climate in the form of CO2, et cetera. And based on that, they want to completely alter our world economy. Some go so far as to alter it to the point that we no longer have an internal combustion engine. We no longer utilize fossil fuels for the purpose of moving the economy forward and to benefit and better our lives. So I would agree with you, 3812, that there's a lot of that going on behind the scenes. I do not believe that, as one of our previous callers noted, what was her? Do you remember her name? It wasn't Mindy, was it? I don't remember. Marie, thank you for calling. I do not agree with Marie that this is all a ruse set about by the New World Order folks in order to create 15-minute cities. And when she said, do you know what 15-minute cities are? And I said, no, I think I disappointed her. I don't know what I'm rather surprised that you don't know about 15-minute cities. I do now. I mean, I looked it up during the break. It's it's something else, some of these theories. In the meantime, in the world of Hollywood entertainment, it appears that, we've had a lot of conversation about Barbie, which my wife went to see late last week. I don't know that it ruined her, although I'm probably not going to know for a few weeks.
I guarantee you she turns full-blown socialist now.
Maybe so. And she might be transgendered by now.
Yeah, you may end up married to a man.
Yeah. But she did go to see Barbie, and she said that it was what it was, wasn't all that. But a lot of these Hollywood offerings have become increasingly woke. And we heard and made note of a new Snow White that's coming out. And my goodness gracious, the new lead, I don't know who this woman is. I don't care. The new lead in Snow White seems to really, 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 really hate Snow White. So let me say that again. the lead actress that's playing Snow White, I'm a little bit surprised they haven't changed her name, because I think the name Snow White in and of itself, the fairest of them all, that's pretty triggering.
Obviously racist.
But the lead actress in Snow White has a few things to say about the storyline of Snow White. Now, we've heard that there will not be 7 dwarves. There will be 7.
They prefer to be called little people.
Well, they're not even going to be little people anymore. They're going to be 7, companions.
Do we know if during the scene where Prince Charming kisses her, does he get consent first?
Whoa.
Is there consent involved?
Trigger-ring, buddy. What are you doing?
Does he wake her up, ask her if he can kiss her to wake her up, and then let her go back to sleep?
There's none of that. There's no patriarchal salvation element to this story anymore. There's no man riding in on a white horse saving the woman who needs saving, you disgusting pig. Just listen to the new Snow White, whose name I don't know.
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yeah. It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Why is it being a love story so awful? I mean, it's a princess story. It's a princess fantasy. I don't understand why it's so horrible if it was a love story. But toward the end there, the reason I'm laughing, it's almost like she's hoping that the man in the movie gets cut out of the movie. And so it's just Snow White and the 7 appropriately diversified collection of humanoid creatures.
I wonder if anybody that actually was born with dwarfism finds it insulting that they feel the need to remove people with dwarfism from the movie.
Well, I know that there are people with dwarfism that have expressed concern that they're not going to have any acting roles in the future if they're eliminating all references to dwarves in society. I don't understand what's wrong with a dwarf. And if you don't like the movie Snow White so much, I understand that it's Disney rebooting it. But why don't you just write a different movie? And don't call it Snow White. Call it whatever you want to call it. What could we call it? Woke?
Well, but then you're not trading on a known quantity that makes it easier to market.
I mean, and I guess in a way that's what Barbie did. They just kind of modernized the story. And I don't know. It's just fascinating to me how people like this actress who are earning large amounts of money based on the premise of the story Snow White. There's no question that she is earning money off the patriarchy, off the misogynistic patriarchy, but she now attempts to cover that up by saying, well, but this movie isn't about the misogynistic patriarchy savior story. This is all different, but we're going to base it off that so that we get people to go to the theaters and watch it anyway. And why is it so bad that it's a love story? That one baffles me. Turn back to the phones. I don't know what we're going to get, folks. It's been a pretty crazy day on the phones. It's been a true Conspiracy Theory Monday, organically. We didn't even ask for it. But this time around, it's Greg in Hillsborough. Greg, thank you for your call. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. I'd like to make a comment on the Maui fires. I have a daughter who lives on Maui. I have children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren there. since the 70s. And one of the things that my daughter was just here 2 weeks ago, and one of the things that she brought up and kind of stuck in my mind after all this was the fact is that the pineapple companies and the sugarcane companies have completely left the island of Maui and allowed all of that thousands and thousands of acres to just go into a grassland. And it seems to me that I'm not an arborist or anything like that, but it seems to me if ground cover or something had been planted there rather than just grass, that those fires may have had a break or something to keep it from spreading. A grass fire will move faster than anything under the sun. So that's just my opinion. I think there's a lot of problems and a lot of blame to go around to different agencies, and they'll have to look at it. But I think that that's one thing that needs to be looked at.
Well, sure, and we made mention, Greg, earlier about the fires that happened several years ago in California, and the electric companies were blamed for a lot of those fires wrongly, in my opinion, because for years environmental organizations prevented groups from coming in and the state itself from coming in and clearing land and clearing underbrush for the purpose of preventing these massive uncontrollable fires should lightning strike. And, California's been going through a drought for some time now. So you're right. I think environmentalists taking hold in these areas and refusing to allow some basic fire break or fire control to occur could very well be partially responsible for the size and scope and nature of the fire itself.
Yes. I think one of the smart things to do for the state of Hawaii would be to try to introduce some of the natural plants and stuff back into those areas that those companies are just basically abandoned. If they're not going to use them, then they should be reverted back to what Maui looked like 100 years ago.
Great call, Greg. Well, and according to our previous caller, Marie, that's the grand design, to revert Maui back to a natural paradise and to force everyone to move to, I assume, Honolulu or one of the major city centers so that they become ultimately 15-minute cities. It's 2:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Are you feeling sweaty? Call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. I'm so proud of my rhyme that I came up with that I can't help but sharing it every time I talk about Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. But it's serious business when it comes time for that AC to work as it should, and it does not. Now, if yours is above what you set it on, and what I mean by that, if you set your thermostat to, say, 72, for example, and you're consistently running at 74 or 75, that means the unit is not doing what it needs to do to get it cool enough, and that is a problem in Tennessee, and you're going to eventually experience a failure as a result. What I would recommend you do is go ahead and call Jeff Eddy. Let him come out for a maintenance call. You'll never get charged over $125, no matter how many units you have at your property, at your residence. And then you go about your business of letting that AC run like it should. Now, if Jeff notices something that's going to cause failure, or if he believes it's time to replace, you can trust that he's telling you the honest truth about that. I trust Jeff Eddy in my home, and I want you to trust him in yours. He keeps overhead down, never charges you overtime. They offer free financing when it's time for a unit. An elite diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric, a pro partner with Rheem. EfficientHVAC.net is the website, EfficientHVAC.net, or 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient Heating and Cooling.
A celebrated story that was turned into a popular movie of a Tennessee family may not all be that you think it is. A move in Kansas that press freedom advocates say is illegal, and then some big news over there at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I'll tell you all about it. 2:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I don't know what the answer to that last story is. I'll have to listen at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I know the first one, and I was going to bring it up, but I'm not going to now. You newsmen,
we should talk about it.
You newsmen, after the break, after the news. I'll talk about it after the news because I'm
I'd love
confused.
to hear your thoughts.
I understand that this is a big deal because it's in court, but I don't understand why it's. Well, we'll talk about it in a minute.
Yes.
I don't want to run the tease. It is 2:26, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Karine Jean-Pierre was trotted out before the assembled media. You can't get an answer from Joe Biden, but boy, oh boy, she'll give you some answers, won't she? That Karine Jean-Pierre, she really tackles these questions asked by the tough mainstream media right up front. You ask her a question, you get an answer, boy, like this one right here.
Discuss at all the president's personal reaction to, as a father, of the special counsel being appointed to continue the Hunter Biden probe?
So let me just first say, and you've heard me say this before, that this case was handled independently by the Justice Department under leadership of a Trump appointed U.S. attorney, as you all know. This is consistent with what the president has been saying for a long while now, going way back to his campaign days, that he would restore the Department of Justice independence from political interference from the White House. And this is want to make sure that we continue that. Since the White House hasn't been involved, just to be clear again, certainly I would refer you to any questions about this specifically to Department of Justice and certainly to Hunter Biden's personal representatives. I will say this, and you've heard this from the president, is that he loves his son. And he is proud of him overcoming his addiction and how he's continuing to build his life. But I don't have anything else to add.
Doesn't have anything else to add except that minute of bluster and nonsense. Maybe, okay, you're not going to say anything about, Karine Jean-Pierre's not going to say anything about the president and Hunter Biden. No amount of questions will drag anything out of her. What, if anything, do we have on the situation in Hawaii?
Does he want to travel there eventually to survey the damage and meet survivors?
So obviously I don't have anything to announce at this time. Look, we're going to continue to have conversations with the administrator, certainly the governor in Hawaii, on what the opportunities might be, what that may look like for a trip. But right now we just don't have anything to share.
So the president doesn't, it's the worst wildfire in terms of loss of life in a century on his watch. I want us all to spend a moment considering what the mainstream media would be talking about. I know that this has become all too easy because these people are so disgustingly dug in on Team Biden. What would they have done with 100 people dead and millions, if not billions of dollars in property damage on our hands in Maui, in Hawaii? What they would have done with Donald Trump coming off a golf course while the fires are burning, while people are being discovered in the rubble, dead. What the mainstream media, hashtag never CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, the whole lot, what they would have done if they had asked Donald Trump, Mr. President, do you have anything on the Maui wildfires? Do you have anything on the Maui wildfires? No comment. What would have happened? Would they just let it go? What they would do if Sarah Huckabee Sanders or, who was the other one? Sean Spicer. Who was the guy that was there for like 10 days? I used to do a
Scaramucci.
Scaramucci. Hey, yo. I used to do, hey, yo, this is Anthony Scaramucci. I'm the press secretary for the Trump man. Let's go. We need to start back with, I used to do Scaramucci press conferences where I'd take all questions. Yo, this is the Mooch. What you got? Does the president plan on traveling to Maui? No. Next question. I mean, does the president have anything to say about his relationship with... He loves his son. What are you talking about over there? Next. I loved the mooch.
Don't bring that garbage in here, you mook.
What are you doing with that trash over there? What is that? What are you? Oh, it's WAPO over there. The Washington Post wants to know a question. Okie dokie then. Get out of here. The mooch. Gone too soon. Gone too soon. What in the world would they be doing with that? No comment? It is... I do not want to overstate it. It is the most telling. It's the most telling 2 words about his mental state since he's been president of the United States. That he can't manage to figure out what the question was and to formulate these words. We're praying for them in Hawaii. I'll have more to say later.
2936. Bo died in Maui.
You need to watch it over there. Hey, 2936, I'm watching you. We got the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN over here.
It's 2:31. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 89 degrees and a sunny day in Nashville. Could see some scattered showers later on this afternoon into the evening. Got a full weather forecast in 2 minutes. The celebrated story of a Tennessee family taking in an impoverished young man who evolved into an NFL player has now led to a lawsuit. Brian Clark with some details.
Michael Orr was a college football All-American, a first-round NFL draft pick, and a Super Bowl champion. But he's probably best known for his role in The Blind Side, the story of the wealthy Tennessee family who took him into their home and out of a difficult life of poverty. Orr now says that story's a lie. He says Sean and Leanne Toohey tricked him into making them his conservators, alleging they've now made millions off his name and likeness, and he is not. Orr is seeking an accounting of the money, compensation, and an injunction to block them from using his name. The Tooheys have not commented.
Now over to Central Kansas, where police raided a local newspaper last week. It's a move press freedom advocates say is illegal. The newspaper's owners say stress from the raid caused the weekend's death of his elderly mother. Brian Clark.
Marion County Record owner Kevin Myers says the Central Kansas newspaper received a tip about a local business owner allegedly being involved in wrongdoing. He said the paper notified police and they never responded.
The person who was the target of this then falsely accused us of illegally obtaining the information.
And the item was never published, but Friday, Police Chief Gideon Cody led a raid on the paper's office, saying in a statement that reason to believe the journalist is taking part in wrongdoing exempts a federal requirement for a subpoena. Meyer denies any wrongdoing.
And right now in Knoxville, Peyton Manning is returning to UT as a faculty member. The NFL Hall of Famer and former Vols quarterback has been appointed a professor of practice in the College of Communication and Information. Manning graduated in 1997 with a degree in speech communication and is the founder of the entertainment company Omaha Productions. And he's going to teach sports reporting, video production and performance, leadership and communication, and public speaking starting this semester. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
You know, I am headed down right after we end our proceedings here and I hand off to the drive. I'm heading down to the Dr. Gill Center. I have some knee issues, and I know that if you suffer from knee pain and I am suffering from pain in the knee, then the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is my location. If it's painful to walk or perform day-to-day activities, which it has been for me, I tweaked it. I dare say I tweaked it on the pickleball court, but it is true. That's where it happened. And now I want to know what's going on. They can relieve pain in the knee fast and easily with no downtime and no surgery. And I'm going to be a testimony to that opportunity because I'm going down and having some of my pain relieved today. They're offering new non-surgical treatments for knee pain. It's not an old injury. Well, although I might say that I just abused my knees back in the day. So what is knee pain, specifically knee pain? I could say back pain, elbow pain, whatever it might be, costing you on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to see the Dr. Gill Center, and I want you to do as well. Did you know that you could qualify for a $39 consultation, and you could get back to a pain-free life? Call 615-882-4838 to schedule your appointment. I've scheduled mine. What are you waiting on? Schedule yours. 615-882-4838 or visit callmepainfree.com today. That's callmepainfree.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you until 3. We'll check in with Brian Wilson coming up in a couple of minutes. I know he's got a lot scheduled for you in the afternoon time slot that we call the drive with Brian Wilson from 3 until 7 on a day-to-day basis. Love to hear from you in the meantime, 615-737-9986. So now, man, oh man, I got so much to get into, and I've got so little time. We got thrown asunder. Is that right? Am I saying that right? I think that's right. With the conspiracy theories involving the Hawaiian wildfires. But you know what? It's one of the things I love about my show on a day-to-day basis. I know my name's on the door, but I, like you, never know what we're going to get, when we're going to get it, and where we might go with the show on a day-to-day basis. And I hope that's part of the reason that you get that you make yourself available and you tune in on a day-to-day basis. I appreciate you for that. So who knew that we would get this story about The Blind Side? There's an ongoing joke in my life that many of you are not privy to regarding The Blind Side. When I was in Birmingham when the movie The Blind Side came out, and I was am a longtime fan of, now I can't remember her name, Sandra
Bullock.
Bullock.
Yeah.
Bullock. That's how much of a fan I am. And if you know anything about me, know this. You are almost guaranteed, and I don't know what it is about me that does this. I don't try to do it. I promise you I don't. But if you tell me I have to do something, if you use those words, for some reason, something in me just flags it. And I don't do it.
Murphy, you have to do it this way
And
at this time.
Just won't. And so people in my inner circle have learned that if they think I would really enjoy a book or they think I would really enjoy a movie, the last thing you want to say is, Matt, you've got to go see this movie.
This is exactly how my girlfriend Hannah is. It's infuriating.
I don't know what it is. I don't try to do it.
Same way.
Mac, I don't try to do it. But if you tell me, Matt, you have got to go see Barbie, I'm like, okay, well, then I'm not going to see Barbie. I don't know why, but I do it. So my good friend and colleague, Valerie Vining down in Birmingham, told me she went to see The Blind Side, and she said, you got to go see The Blind Side. It's so good. It's got football coaches in it. It's about football. It's about this family outside of Memphis, and yada, yada, yada. And I said, yeah, I'll go see The Blind Side. Sure. Great. Sounds awesome. And I never went to see The Blind Side. Have never seen The Blind Side. Is it any good?
Just despite Valerie. Actually, it's phenomenal.
Sandra Bullock won an Oscar for it, so yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, Tim McGraw's in it.
She won an Oscar?
Yeah.
She did?
What?
She was incredible.
All based on lies!
Tim was actually really good in the movie, too.
Tim's not a bad actor. I've seen him in 1883. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Tim, if you're listening, thumbs up, buddy. I tell you what, if Tim McGraw calls me and personally asks me to watch The Blind Side, I'll watch it. Despite the fact that I now know it was all based on a pack of lies.
That's an accusation.
According to a lawsuit. Young Mac Maury, how do I pronounce this NFL guy's name? This is how much I know about the film.
Are you talking about Michael Orr?
Is it Orr?
Orr, yeah.
Like the rowboat?
Yes.
Orr.
Former Titan.
All right, so, really? Oh,
yep,
well, there you
the
go.
Titans for a hot minute.
Retired NFL star Michael Orr, who I assume has made plenty of money. I would think that he made good money in the NFL. So The Blind Side was based on his life. It's a 2009 film. Not that I would know about any of the contents of the film because I've never seen it, but it's a film that immortalized his story of him being adopted out of grinding poverty by a white family, a well-to-do white family. Well, he's now saying that a lot of this was a lie. A 14-page petition, as you just heard Mac Maury detail in the newsroom there, filed in Shelby County, Tennessee probate court, alleges that Sean and Leanne Toohey?
Yes.
Toohey, who took Orr into their home as a high school student, never actually adopted him. Instead, less than 3 months after Orr turned 18 in 2004, the petition says the couple tricked him into signing a document making them his conservators, which gave them legal authority to make business deals in his name. The petition further alleges that the Tooheys used their power as conservators to strike a deal that paid them and their two birth children millions of dollars in royalties from an Oscar-winning film that earned more than $300 million, while Orr got nothing for his story that would not have existed without him. In the years since, the Tooheys have continued calling the 37-year-old Orr their adopted son and have used that assertion to promote a foundation as well as Leanne Toohey's work as an author and motivational speaker. According to the lawsuit, I'm just reading from the legal filing here, the lie of Michael's adoption is one upon which co-conservators Leanne Toohey and Sean Toohey have enriched themselves at the expense of their ward, the undersigned Michael Orr. Michael Orr discovered this lie to his chagrin and embarrassment in February of 2023 when he learned that the conservatorship to which he consented on the basis that doing so would make him a member of the Toohey family, in fact, provided him no familial relationship with the Tooheys.
I find it almost impossible to believe that.
Here's my first thought on this. Michael Oher's out of money. That's my first thought on that. I have no idea if it's true.
I just don't see Hollywood ever letting a movie out that had factual inconsistencies in it.
I don't understand what is the functional. I mean, there is a legal and technical difference, I am certain, between adoption and conservatorship. I would bet you that if the Tooheys speak on this matter, they would explain the difficulty in engaging in adoption with a young man of that age. I would bet you that there was a lot of legality involving his family and not getting sign-off from his family and whatnot. I don't know how many family the man has. I don't know what the circumstances are. I've never seen the movie. My initial reaction is, what happened that caused a schism between the Toohey family and Michael Oher? And it feels like this is a play for money. I don't know the story. I'm being honest with you. I'm flying blind when I tell you. All I know is this, that apparently there was a young man that was directionless, that was suffering, that needed help and received help from this family to the point that they saw his talents and abilities and got him on a track where he was able to utilize those talents and abilities so much so that he became an NFL star. And I have a difficult time believing that the Toohey family did not significantly contribute to making that happen. Wasn't that what the movie was about?
Yeah, that was the whole premise of the movie, for sure. And Michael has briefly discussed, in his time as a Titan, media, obviously, the movie
wanted to know.
Wanted to ask about it. Hey, Blindside, and he was always very short with that stuff, and eventually kind of said, please stop asking me about it, was basically the whole thing. His attitude was very short and concise and didn't really ever elaborate on that story, and really his whole attitude shifted when asked about that ever. So he was always a little hesitant to even talk about it. But I know that some of that movie also Hollywooded it up. They made him seem like he wasn't an athlete. He needed help to become a football player. I mean, the dude was an all-star basketball player, too. He didn't need help becoming an athlete. So I know that part of the movie upset him. But yeah, I mean, this is crazy. And looking at his career earnings here, because you talked about his money, as far as that, just looking at career earnings, now I have no idea how much of that's guaranteed. Obviously, taxes, you spend money on your agent. I mean, a lot of this percentage completely just goes away. But just as far as earnings, 2009 to 2017 in the National Football League, $34.5 million.
That's a lot of money. So I could be completely wrong, and I stand corrected if I am. I'm telling you what my initial reaction is when I hear about this case. That's just sad all the way around. A few of your calls, and we'll hand off to the Drive with Brian Wilson, see what Brian's got on his plate for today. Mike is next in the borough. We were talking Snow White earlier. Hello, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing good, Matt. How are you doing this afternoon?
Man, I'm wonderful. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to walk you back a little bit. I know you've been jumping a little bit, but try to encourage you to look on the bright side a little bit. With everything that Disney's going through, it could have been a lot worse. I'm a 40-year-old guy down here in Murfreesboro, and at this point, it's kind of surprising that Disney didn't cast a cross-dressing guy as the lead with two lead male characters. Would it really have surprised you at this point if they did?
No.
Nope.
No.
Yeah. I mean, even that would upset me. As a gay guy, that would upset me.
You could call it Bro White if you did that.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
I mean, I think there's already been a movie named Bros, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm already upset that they absolutely insist on changing the characters' looks and characteristics. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I agree with you. Why can't they just rewrite a new movie that might become a classic in and of itself? It's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that you want to modern it up. I understand recreating. I even understand redoing a film. I mean, When Harry Met Sally is one of my favorite romantic comedies ever, and there was some talk several years ago about trying to redo that movie, and I thought it was just ridiculous. So I think fans of the original would think it's ridiculous, but they do that from time to time, and I understand changing certain aspects, but just wholesale changes. One would think that you would just do your own movie, call it your own thing, but you can't glom off the success of the previous movie if you're left doing that. It is 2:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Nashville Painting Company wants to paint your home. It's not a creepy thing. It's just a reality that at some point you need your home painted. And Jeremy Reeves and Nashville Painting Company are here to do just that. I've known Jeremy Reeves since you have. In other words, I knew him back in Birmingham before he came to Nashville some 10 years ago. Now, I came much later than that, but Jeremy has established himself as the go-to company, whether it's residential or commercial, for painting your home. They do deck staining. They do fence staining. They do it all at Nashville Painting Company. Interior, exterior work, they'll make it happen. They'll give you color consultation, licensed, bonded, and insured. And here's my favorite part, locally owned. That means we keep our money in our local community. How about that? See some of their fine work at NashvillePaintingCompany.com. That's NashvillePaintingCompany.com. And schedule an appointment today. Jeremy or one of his team members will get out jiffy quick. They'll give you an estimate. They'll stand by that estimate, and they'll get to work painting one of those investments, your most expensive investment, your home. NashvillePaintingCompany.com or 615-635-0350. 635-0350. Call today.
Iranian American prisoners to be released soon. The death count from wildfires in Hawaii moves up. A firefighter in Mount Juliet injured, and a member of higher education in Tennessee retiring. That and more at 3 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, Mac Morey. It is with my apology that I say that we will not get a quick visit with Brian Wilson because I ran long. It is Bell K's job from henceforth to make me go to break early. I blame Bell, really, although it's not his fault, to make me go to break a little bit earlier so that I get a chance to converse with Brian Wilson on a day-to-day basis, something that we've been trying to do a little bit more because he's on the drive and it's coming up in mere seconds on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Speaking of coming up, don't forget, tomorrow House Majority Leader William Lamberth will be by. He'll talk with us a little about the special session that is upcoming. Also, later on in the week, Alice Rowley, mayoral candidate, city of Nashville, scheduled to be on the show with us, amongst others. So stand by for that. The Drive with Brian Wilson is up next. Have a wonderful afternoon, folks. So long.